presentation from one of the Vitek brands, actually several of the Vitek brands. We have O'Connor and we have Sackler products, and they're also going to talk about some of their accessories and even Anton Bauer products. You probably know Alan. He was many years with light panels and still working with light panels. That's another of the Vitek products. They seem to like snap up all the really good companies. So we appreciate you guys being here today, and Curtis Harris is going to assist. So Alan Apokian and Curtis Harris, take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jim, for that great explanation. The Vitek Group, as Jim mentioned, has premium products and premium brands that surround the camera. So everything you need when it comes to your camera supports, and also monitors such as Small HD. Teradek is also part of our group. So as Jim mentioned, and many of you know, a lot of great brands that are surrounding the camera. So we're just going to talk about a couple today. And the first one we'll kind of talk about, actually, we'll start small and kind of build up here. So the Sackler brand, as you know, is popular for their fluid heads, and what's even more popular nowadays is the smaller camera setups, the DSLR filming. So what they've done is they've introduced a line of products to meet that kind of need. So the Sackler Ace range of products is great for the DSLR camera and the filmmaker. So lightweight supports that are easy to transport. They have basically a payload that can support a camera, a DSLR setup, so about 9 pounds you're looking at. And it's great because it has a great drag and great feel to the pan and tilt. So it's got 3 steps to the drag and the tilt, and it also has a 5-step counterbalance. So you can basically deck out your camera, and it'll be able to support that in any configuration. So like I said, great lightweight support, about 9 pounds to basically throw it over your shoulder, throw it in your car. You're able to move to the next setup. So it comes in a couple of configurations where it has the option of either a floor spreader or a mid-level spreader. So depending on your style, you basically have those options. And of course, Sackler has the larger fluid heads and tripod systems. So they just released at NAB this year the Video 18 S2, which is a higher payload, and basically you can support your cinema style cameras and such. So they have basically a full plethora of camera accessories and different options for you to basically control your cameras and stuff like that. So that going back to the ACE system, you have the whole follow focus units as well, and also the matte box setup. So it's great for your DSLR shooters out there. And going over to the O'Connor brand, many of you know it's the staple in the cinema market, and it's you can find it on any cinema set that you find professional cameras on. And the 2575 is the staple there, and it's great because it has about a 90-pound payload. So for your big lenses, your basically heavier payload. So the difference between the O'Connors and the Sacklers, and you kind of ask yourself, what are the differences? So the Sackler systems all have steps in their drags and their counterbalance, where the O'Connor is a little different because it's stepless, and you can crank your counterbalance to basically fit your need. And same thing with the panning and the tilt fluid. So basically have infinite control with this. And with the 2575, you have different, it's really ergonomic, and it has 4 rosettes for you to kind of have your pan bar. You have your front handle here, and also has a nice, comfortable, ergonomic rest here. So while you're operating, you just put your hand on here and do your camera movements. So real easy operator side controls here with the locks in the front and here, and also accessibility to the fluid. And you also have your bubble here, so you can basically level your camera, right? So balancing your camera is very important. So whenever you're finding yourself in the dark or something like that, you have a bubble here with illumination here. So if you're on a dark set, turn on your bubble light, and you're able to balance your camera without having to cause a lot of attention to you while you're trying to set your camera up and stuff. So 2575 staple here. They have the little brother, little sister, however you want to call it, in the 2560 that they just released last year at Cinegear. And it's the same mechanisms and everything, just in a really small, not really small, but a smaller configuration for these lighter weight cameras that are coming out, like the minis and whatnot. So we're noticing the trend seems to be everything is getting a little bit smaller, more compact. So they met that need with the 2560 fluid head. So same guts as the 2575 that everyone loves, and the ability to adjust and operate with the camera side, or I'm sorry, the camera operator side handles and controls. Find that in the 2560 as well. Sticking to O'Connor, they also have this great shoulder rig set up here. It's called the O rig, and it's like many of the products here, all camera agnostic. So we have the base plate here. You have the height adjustment here for your matte box, and you also have the O grips here that are articulating. You just kind of spin those around, and if you want to have it in any direction, you kind of spin it around, and then you lock it out. So you have the body shoulder plate here, and you can basically configure that however you want. So this is in a direction where I'm pulling it in my body here. You have the offset buttons, or not buttons, but knobs here, and you can basically, let me just kind of demo this for you, loosen them out here, and you can kind of articulate it in a certain way, where if you want to shoot at a low angle, you could also pull that into your body here. You could also, basically what I'm telling you is that it's configurable for however you want to shoot. These are counterbalance weights, so you're basically balancing out your camera. If you're front heavy and you want to add a couple of weights in the back, then you have a couple that are included in this kit case here. So custom foam, Pelican Storm case, you have everything what you need. It's the O-Rig Pro set. And to include O'Connor's accessories, you have the matte box, you have the follow focus as well. We didn't bring those today, but you can find more information on those on ocon.com. Going on, we'll talk about Anton Bauer a little bit. Anton Bauer just released their Cine Series batteries. Now these are great because you have the traditional gold mount that everyone knows on Anton Bauer, and you also have the V mount that allows you to go to your RED cameras if you need to, or if you already have an existing V mount set up, you don't need to adapt them to gold mount or anything like that. They have gold mount batteries available. Now what's great about the new Cine Series is that they included a D-tap that I have one of our new lights in, the brick bicolor. But a lot of feedback has come back from our Anton Bauer users that they wanted basically a D-tap on the battery itself. They met that need. And what's also really great about this is as a digital readout. So when you're unplugged into any kind of camera system or light, it'll tell you percentage of what where your battery capacity is at. When you're plugged in, you're turned on, it'll convert that into minutes. So it'll give you a runtime of how long your battery's going to last. So they're available 90 watts, 150 watt, and V mount and gold mount, as I mentioned. And what's also awesome about these is there's a 12 amp draw, so it's a 20% more than a lot of the batteries out in the market, which is around 10%. So yeah, I mentioned that we plugged into this on-camera style light, which is a brick bicolor, and it's bicolor like a lot of the lights out there. Go from daylight to tungsten, and 0 to 100 intensity.
And that one is also IP65 rated.
Yes, this light is IP65 rated. So if you're in wet conditions operating your cameras and you needed some top light on your camera setup, then you're not going to have to rig it with a sandwich bag or something like that. Then you're good to go. You just protect your camera and you're good to go.
And one other thing I wanted to mention, I'll just speak loud because you've got the microphone on.
I'll just stand close to you.
Yes, stand real close to me. One thing I wanted to mention about the Cine batteries, you'll start seeing a lot of these out in the field. The 12 amp draw is very important. We're hearing back from the field because now that, as you guys have seen in all the presentations, there's a lot of accessories that's going on these cameras. And sometimes what happens with other batteries that don't have such a strong draw, or maybe only have 10 amp, is things will start to not work right, but they won't shut off completely. So viewfinders will get glitchy and accessories will get glitchy, and you will think there's something wrong with the viewfinder or the accessory, but really it's the draw from the battery that's the issue. So with this 12 amps, it actually is a much bigger deal, people are saying, once they get out in the field, because there's so many accessories that are being powered now around the camera.
That's a great point. Thanks for mentioning that. So yeah, that's something to consider when you're bringing power to all these fine accessories that you're watching us present today. So for more
It's very
information,
lightweight, too.
Yes.
That's
It
worth
is.
mentioning.
yeah.
Hard to believe that has all that power.
One thing that they did take in consideration when designing these batteries was the form factor. And they didn't want to block any ports or anything like that, so you have that nice square shape that's basically an extension of the camera with your ARRIs and your Reds and your Canons and your Sonys. So, so yeah, it's a as you mentioned, lighter weight, the greater amperage for the draw, and nice consistent, I guess, discharge. So actually, speaking of discharge, there's a trend right now, or a new standard in traveling with your batteries and whatnot to consider. So in their chargers, they have a new firmware that allows you to discharge. So you have to discharge if you want to put your batteries into the belly of the cargo. Then you wanted to, what you're gonna need to do is discharge them to about 30%, and then you're able to check your luggage. But some chargers don't have that ability, so they went ahead and it's a firmware upgrade to the new chargers. You have that ability to discharge to meet that need. So
our chargers have become very popular because they're one of the only chargers on the market that have that discharge function, where you can connect 4 batteries to it and hit the airplane button to go into travel mode, and it will discharge all 4 of your batteries to 30% or below, and you can set that parameter and be ready to travel. So we've been selling a ton since the new FAA rule came out.
It also, I believe, would help it from developing a memory. A lot of times you do a quick shoot, you only use 10% of the battery, or 20% goes back on the charger, and then it starts to remember that kind of usage. But being able to discharge it once in a while is will counter that.
Well, speaking of that, actually, there's also a function in the charger as well that allows you to check the health of the battery. So you're not using that one battery. Maybe you're used to reaching for the bottom right-hand corner every time you go grab a battery. Well, that battery might get more use than the rest of your battery, so it'll be less healthy. So it allows you to check the health, and then allows you to properly rotate your batteries so that way they remain healthy and perform at the same level.
So you can manage them.
Yeah.
Now, with the airline rules, this is a 90. You don't have to worry too much about 90, but what's the rule for the bigger one? I know the 160 used to be a problem to fly with, but now you've changed that to a 150?
150, correct. And then you can fly with, sorry about that, the 150s you can carry on 2 of those. As you mentioned, the 90s are not a problem. The 150s you can carry 2. And they, again, anything that goes in the belly that you check, it has to be 30% or lower capacity.
Well, thank you very much, Curtis and Alan.
Great, thank you
Great
guys.
presentation.
Yeah.